Hi guys, and welcome back to Reed's Readers with your host, Clinton Reed. And today, I'm going to bring with you my March wrap-up. This is the first out of 3 videos that I plan on filming today, so you'll see this a couple of times. Do you like the new hoodie? Or the sweatshirt? Property of Theron? Sterling has one that says property of Room. So, now you can tell whose team each of us are on. Even though I love Room, that's his first book boyfriend ever, so I'm gonna let him have Room. And I go with my second choice, which is Theron. So, but okay, this video is gonna be a little bit chaotic. So I've got quite a bit of books to get through here, as you can tell. And as we do it, I will tell you if they completed anything for Spring and Readathon's bingo board, what I read during that week I'll do at the end, and if any of them worked for the magical readathon, I'll do that as well. Most of those over here on his desk, just so I can see them. But first, let's get into the stats. I finished 25 books this month and DNF'd 1, which I think is an amazing month, which totaled up to 9,699 pages. Fucking hell. Who am I? Now, I don't have all of them. I have one that'll go with one down here, and I'll explain later. Which added up to 1 3.5 star, 4 4 stars, 2 4.5 stars, and 18 5 stars. Me being me, who I've been kind of trying to do better on the 5 stars, but they have to hit certain criteria. All from here down hit my criteria of a 5 star, and some of them have now become favorite series, favorite books, yada yada yada. So I've got them all ranked in the order I enjoyed them. Granted, the bottom 8 can kind of go either which way, except for the bottom one. The bottom one, or bottom 2 technically, are the only 2 like in set order for the 5 stars. But I kind of like rank them in a certain way. You'll see. Okay, I have 1 reread, which is in the 5 stars, which I normally talk about my rereads first, but it'll make sense. I have 10 books that have queer representation. Awesome. And 17 that have romance as a plot line, whether they be a romance book or a romance plot line. And for my TJ Klune Annabeth Albert, I read 0 Annabeth Alberts. To be perfectly honest, we'll see how that goes the rest of the year. Even though I love Annabeth, it's getting more difficult to like squeeze her in. So I may read 1 or 2 of hers next month. And I read 2 TJ Klunes. I'm really proud of myself there. Y'all know which 2 I'm talking about. But yeah, let's just get in. Ooh. So those were my stats. Also, I was able to knock 1 off my 22 romances to read in 2022. I was able to knock off 4 of my 15 books to read in 2022 that were not on my romance list, so they're not like labeled a legit thing. I've caught up on 2 series this month, but I have now since, because it's April 2nd, I have finished a 3rd series. I have finished 2 duologies. I think that's it. Oh, no, I've caught up on 1, 2, 3. I've caught up completely on 3 series, finished 2 duologies. Have since finished a 3rd series, which is now one of my all-time favorite series, but we'll get to that. Read quite a bit of my buddy reads. all I've got to discuss before we get into this. I will state I did complete the Magical Readathon Gear Up during the week. Granted, I had 4 books. I was only able to read 3 during that week, so I'll only count 3. And during spring into Readathon, I was able to complete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 challenges during that week, which I think is super awesome. So, like I said, we will get towards the spring into Readathon and the Magical Readathon as we go. So, let's just get into this wrap up before it's like an hour long. So, my one DNF isn't a DNF that I'm going to like never read the book again. This is a DNF for now, going right back on the shelf to give it one more try. If I can't get into it then I will unhaul it. And I want to apologize to Mel, because it's one of her favorite books. That is Lightning by Dean Koontz. I just couldn't with the writing style. It was kind of irritating me. I listened to the audiobook and then I tried to physically read it. Physically reading, I made it like 74 pages before I was like, I can't. My head's not there. So I'm going to give it another try when I'm actually in the mood for a book like this. So this one's just going to go back on the thriller shelf to try at a later date. I tried Mel and Thorny. I did read one of your other favorites this month. So, yeah. Now, my first and only 3.5 star, which will get unhauled, is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. And I got this really pretty edition that I found, I do believe, at Ollie's. Which is also signed. I think everybody knows what this is about, which is about a family on an island. Things happened. There was like literally like only one shocking thing about this. I kind of saw everything coming. So, not that this is a bad book, it's just was a little predictable for me. Though, I still highly recommend everyone read it. I may check out the prequel when it gets like an audiobook or like an ebook, but I will not be purchasing it. Well, but yeah, this is just going to go into that unhaul bucket right now. Also, I have a chair over here that I'm going to slowly move everything to. Okay, now we're on to my 3 out of 4 of my 4 stars. One of my 4 stars I will be talking about with my 5 stars. It'll make sense. Oh, also, We Were Liars completed. Read like an Aries, read a book under 250 pages. My first out of my 4 stars was The Cat Proposed by Dento Hayani. This was super cute, super adorable. I would reread it again. Maybe if I'm in a different mindset, I might enjoy this. I picked this up because it is a Mel manga about, I'm gonna get this wrong, but I'm not gonna say anybody's name because I will not be able to pronounce them. It's about a boy who ends up getting married to a cat demon. A Bonko, which is a shape-shifting cat from Japanese folklore. Gets mated and married. It was super cute. Did its job. I picked this up so I could read an entire book outside, which completes the fresh air prompt in the in the spring into Readathon, which I think is super cool. We had a beautiful day and I read this on like 2 breaks outside. So, super cute. Would have read it in one, but kind of got distracted by other things because work being work. So I don't need to cover that up because we're about to get to one of the challenges here. My next 4-star was also the CBC group book for the month of March, and that is Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa. This was such a good book. Calypso being a siren, making bargains with the bargainer, and the bargainers coming to take in all those bargains. I do see where people say if you love ACOTAR, the ACOTAR series, you would love this. I really want to continue. Desmond is fucking hot. It's just, nothing in this was like, oh my god, new favorite thing. So I will continue on with the series and see what happens to the series, because the series could become a favorite. It has potential. And I will state, I did not expect this to take place in LA. Like, that threw me off. I thought it was like a whole other fantasy world. No. So that's kind of cool. And parts of it are present day, parts are in the past. If you hear any noises, that's people walking their dogs outside. You're by the window. I want to use this gorgeous light. Haven't filmed in here in a minute. Thought this was a cool idea. But yes, 4 out of 5 stars. This one completed, I would say, wet t-shirt concert for a smutty book, but the smut scenes were far and few between. So not really. This does complete Spring Court, read a book with fairies in it. And this is the only one I would count it for is fairies in it. And to read the first in a series. So completed 2 there. I was going to read this during the Magical Readathon, but I wasn't able to finish it during there, so I didn't want to count it for that. So I did finish it during, I do believe I finished it either during or right after the Spring and Readathon. So my next 4-star was Lady Midnight, by Cassandra Clare, the First in the Dark Artifice series, which I am buddy reading with Mel and a bunch of people in her Twitter group. Mel from Completely Melanie. If you don't know when I say Mel, who are you? And why are you on my channel? If you don't know about this by now. But this follows Emma and Julian as parabatai in the Shadowhunters world. I don't want to say much on this because if you haven't read any of the others, it would spoil a lot of shit that happens in the others. But I will state this is all about, there's like a necromancer involved. So that shit is cray-cray. This was really, really good. It's just when it comes to Shadowhunters, I compare everything to the Infernal Devices, and this just didn't hold up as a new all-time favorite. But I would reread it again, and I am excited to see how the rest of the series goes, because this has potential to be one of my favorite series in that world. This has potential to be in second place. Granted, I've only read 2 of the series in the worlds of 2 other series, so no shocking that this is already beating Mortal Instruments, because I fucking hate Clary and Jace as main characters. Side characters, I love them. As main characters, I want to punch them. Oh, and this completed Spring Cleaning, read a book that has been collecting dust. Started a new series. I listened to this as an audiobook, which majority of the books, I will state, I listened to as audiobooks, so we're just going to count that. one of Mel's favorites. It has green on the cover, has fairies in it, strong female character. Think that would be it. So yay. I'm so happy to be able to put all these books back on the shelves because my desk is getting crowded. Because I read a lot of chunky books. It's been really crowded. My first of my 4.5 stars is Greek Gods, Percy Jackson's Greek Gods by Rick Riordan. This is just a bunch of Greek god stories from Greek mythology retold through Percy Jackson's eyes. Super fun, loved it, laughed out loud. I am a Rick Riordan. I'm Rick Riordan trash. Anything he writes, I want. And by the way, I kind of want to get his hardback editions of these because they're like this big. Like, they're so pretty though. But that's all I'm going to say on this. Greek mythology told through Percy Jackson's eyes. Pretty sure everybody knows who Percy Jackson is. The son of Poseidon. Okay, this one only worked for Over the Rainbow, read a classic or a fairy tale retelling. So, again, Greek mythology told through Percy Jackson's eyes. So, my next 4.5 stars was my group book with the From Blood and Books group that I'm in with Nikki, Tracy, and Sterling, where we all choose 4 books. And we each, they get randomly generated, and that's our next, 4 books, which I'm super excited. Our next 4 after we finish April's book, May, June, July, and August. Oh my God. 1 smut, 3 thrillers. Oh, it's going to be perfection. I need more thrillers in my life, and I'm excited for everything we're reading, so that's beside the point. What we read was The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. I will tell you, I need to read everything by this author. This was so fucking creepy. Like the creep factor to high end. This was amazing. This takes place in 1982 and 2017 at this Sundown Motel. In 1982, Viv Delaney works at this hotel and then randomly disappears. And her niece in 2017, Carly, returns back to this town to figure out what happens. And that is all I'm going to say. Because fucking hell. And I'm getting together, me and Sterling are getting together with the girls tomorrow on Google to talk about this, because what the fuck did we read? I now need to read her other 2 books, Broken Girls and the new one, Cold Cases, because this was everything. And I love it. So, just saying. When it comes to thrillers, I don't like to spoil a lot in books. Y'all know this by now. So, oh, by the way, Sundown Motel for Spring and Readathon literally only covers Tiptoe Through the Tulips, a book with pink or yellow on the cover. But I read this for the Magical Readathon, for my conduit, which is a dagger, to read a standalone, and that's what this is. Yeah. So my character was able to get a dagger, which is the only conduit I was allowed, besides the everyone can get these. I got 2 conduits. I wanted at least a spell book, damn it. How am I going to be a magical person using magical powers without a fucking spell book? Just I'll shut up now. Now we are to the 5 stars with 1 4-star, but whatever, we'll get to that. So first 2, I'm going to talk about them together. I buddy read, put these in air quotes, buddy read these with Hope, and we were supposed to only read Foxhole Court in March, which is a reread for me. I listened to this way too fast and was so obsessed that I finished this before my shift on Thursday, which was the 31st. So I finished book 2 all on the same day. I was only supposed to do this one on Thursday. This was supposed to be my first one on the 1st, and then I've now since finished the 3rd one in the series, which I will see in my April wrap-up. But this follows Neil Johnston, who is on the run from his father, who is a serial killer by the name of Butcher, who's like the head of like a mafia-like thing, which is a subset of another mafia. And his mom is also part of a different mafia. I thought this was going to be like some cute sports romance, because they play Exie, which is like a cross between, I want to say, lacrosse and rugby. Everyone says like hockey and field hockey, like it's supposed to be like field hockey and soccer, but to me it's lacrosse and rugby. Still don't understand the whole of the sport, but that's not important. And just the shit that happens. I was expecting some cute sports romance, kind of like him, but YA version. I was not expecting a mafia sports book with a really, really, really slow burn romance. And I can tell you now, I'm fucking here for it. This has now become one of my favorite series because this shit, my anxiety is so fucking high. Listen. It's kind of hard to talk about these two and not talk about the third one. Fucking hell. I read these back to back to back and I binged the shit. I will reread this shit time and time again. I am an Andrel fan. Team Andrew, Team Nil. Every day. I'm here for it. They both need each other. Oh my god. I highly, highly recommend All for the Game series by Nora Safegat. Yes. And I did not read these for anything on the anything. I was going to be using Foxhole Court for Read Like an Aries, but then I read We Were Liars. So. Next we have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I have since read other things that, like this I do believe was my first book of the month and I loved it, but I've since read other things that are a little bit more important to me. But this is a cute romance between scientists. Okay, when a fake relationship between scientists meets and the irresistible force of attraction, it throws one woman's careful, calculated theories on love into chaos. Oh my god. This was super cute. And I can really see that this was a fan fiction of Kylo Ren and Rey. I can see that. No, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Still love this. This is super cool, super cute. If you haven't read it, read it. This was my TikTok book of the month. That and We Were Liars, I do believe. Oh, and I have another series. Yeah. But for this, I read this for Tiptoe Through the Tulips, which is to read a book with pink or yellow on the cover. This also counts as one of Kaylani's faves of the year so far. It also counts as an easy read. Kind of smutty scenes. But this is super cute and I'm so happy I read it. So, I would reread this anytime. Love it. It may or may not end up on my top 10 of the list. the year, but I don't know how I'm doing those yet. I'm thinking about doing like a romance, a series, and then my main top. We'll see by the end of the year. Next is a book that I read to finish a duology, and that is Unravel, Zedusk by Elizabeth Lim, which is book 2 in the Blood of Stars series. Book 1 being Spin the Dawn, which is about a girl who disguises herself as a man to enter to be a tailor for the emperor, which only men can do. Her brother was wounded in the war, and her dad is really, really old. So she doesn't want them to have to go and hurt themselves and die. So she goes, and the stuff that ensues. I really don't want to say more than that it's like Mulan meets Project Runway, because it would spoil so much. All I know is this was phenomenal. This is one of the best endings to a duology I've ever read. I have one better, a little bit lower on this list, but this was amazing, and I really want to read more Elizabeth Lim, and I want to read more Asian-inspired fantasies in the near future, because I feel like I haven't read a lot recently. I feel like I need to dip my toes back in. Next is, Unravel the Dusk. I know this would count for Over the Rainbow, Easy Read, and Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Because there's yellow on the cover, and there's a little bit pink too. And it's a retelling of I want to say it's a Chinese folklore. Chinese or Japanese, I can never remember. There's a folklore that involves also, she has to make a dress out of the blood of the stars. No. Laughter of the sun, blood of the stars, and tears of the moon. I think. Or it's blood of the moon and tears of the stars. I've read a lot. Okay, next I read... Ooh, don't damage the book. Let's not drop things. You can tell I haven't filmed a video in a minute. I finished Wilderlore, The Weeping Tide, Book 2 by Amanda Foody. This just follows Barclay and them and their adventures from Wilderlore. This is a middle grade series about... It's kind of like Pokemon meets Spiderwick Chronicles in my eyes. More that in my eyes, because you get these cool tattoos and the monsters jump out of the tattoos and they get their powers, and just this is everything. This is now one of my all-time favorite middle grade series, and I cannot wait for book 3. This one took place in the sea area, which I loved, just, and the adventures that they go on. I don't want to say too much. Book 1 was our Mary Bookmiss group book, and we got to interview Amanda Foody. This, basically, if you're looking for something that you've never read, but will give you that nostalgic vibes, this is it. Everything. Oh, and for this, I read this for read a past Season-a-thon group book, and I read this for read a sequel. Oh, read a sequel. I knew that one counted for something else. Now, I'm going to talk about 4 books real fast. I'm going to talk about book 2 through 4 of the Crave series, which are Crush, Covet, and Court. And also the ebook that you're supposed to read between Court and Covet. They're supposed to be between those two, but I read it after because I've discovered it, called Cat and Mirror Academy. Insider Guide, which I gave 4 stars, which was super cute. Took quizzes. Found out that I'd be Flint, but I'd be from the Witch Court, which is kind of weird because Flint is a queer dragon shifter. If you do not know what the Crave series is about, all I'm going to tell you is Twilight but better. The first one follows... What is her name? Grace. I was like, what is her name? I can tell you now, this is one of my all-time favorite series. And I cannot wait for the next 2 installments to this. This follows a world with vampires, dragons, werewolves, witches, sirens, gargoyles, everything you can think of in a school setting. First one takes place in a boarding school in Alaska. And then just the shit that goes. And I need y'all to read it and tell me, are you Team Jackson or Team Hudson? Because Team Hudson all the way. Actually, technically, Team Flint and Team Remy. We're going to get really technical. Those are my 2 favorite characters of the entire series. Plus her cousin. Oh. Yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. I went through a rabbit hole. I just counted these for audiobooks. Sterling bought me book 2. I bought book 3 and 4. And I've now since pre-ordered book 4 and 5. And when 6 is able to be pre-ordered, I will be pre-ordering it. Oh, no. I pre-ordered book 5 and 6. So when book 7 is able to be pre-ordered, I'll be pre-ordering that one. Because that one's about Remy. I'm a Cajun magician. I'm trash for this series. I tell you to go into a blind. Because if you go into a blind expecting a paranormal romance series, it's trash. It's everything you need. You'll love it. If you go into it thinking it's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, powerfully written and everything, you're not going to enjoy it. But if you're fans of Twilight, if you're fans of Vampire Academy, if you're fans of Vampire Diaries and all that stuff, I highly recommend this series. Also, I would also recommend it to fans of The Black Witch Chronicles by Laurie Forrest. So, yes. Oh. And those are just going to count for Book with Travel for spring break, and they also count for audiobooks, and I can kind of count 2 of them as refresher TBR. One that I used is in there, which is a TJ Clinton book, but whatever. My next 5-star, which I'm not going to talk much about, because you guys already know, and that is Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. The next installment to the Throne of Glass series, which I am buddy reading with a bunch of people on Instagram. I do believe I'm buddy reading it with Kaylani, Hope, Karina, and I forgot who else. Maybe Tracy? I'm not for sure. But it's just the next installment. If you don't know what Throne of Glass is, follows Selena Sardothian, who is an assassin hired to enter this contest in book 1 to become the king's assassin. That's all I'm going to say. Because I feel like everybody knows what the series is about. I call this series Game of Thrones for kids. The YA Game of Thrones meets a YA version of Lord of the Rings. Shit goes down. Mind you, I've never read either one of those. My next 5-star is DC Pride Volume 1 by various authors. This is a Pride collection that they did last year, which we just want to get like the bind up with all of them in it, because this was super cool. This just has different short stories that follow different queer superheroes in the DC world. I wanted more queer superheroes. And I realized on the 31st, I had read 24 books, and I wanted an even 25. And this one's cute, sweet, short. Loved it. I'm so glad I chose it. I wanted to be at my OCD wanted to be at a good number. My OCD doesn't like it when we're at those weird numbers. Nah. Still shocked I read 25. But you have short stories involving Batwoman, Constantine, Midnighter, Gregorio de la Vega, who's an important one. You have The Question, right? Yes, The Question. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy discussing their relationship. Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern. You have Jess Chambers, who was a Flash. You have Pied Piper and Drummer Boy and Be Gay, Do Crime. Then you have, oh my god, which if you guys do not know about some of these characters, go educate yourself. Dreamer, a trans hero from Supergirl. And then you have a bunch of them at a pride parade. When I mean you have a bunch, where's the picture? You have a bunch of queer superheroes at Gay Pride. This was everything. I want more queer superheroes in my life. We need more queer superheroes on that shelf. I want to read everything. Male, female, female, polyamorous. I want trans. I want... Also, by the way, Drummer Boy. With Pied Piper, I like the fact that Drummer Boy is kind of heavier set. So I would love to see more of that representation as a fat queer man. Would love to see that more represented in things. I feel like this video is going to be forever. My next 5-star. Oh, Heir worked for a Kaylani favorite, green on the cover, fairies. DC did not, easy read. Next was Isn't It Bromantic by Lisa K. Adams, which is the 4th book in the Bromance Book Club. I have now since read them all. And I cannot wait for the Christmas one to come out because it's about the Western singer, country singer. Oh! This followed Vlad, the Russian, and his love story with his wife. As he also writes a novel. And that's all I'm going to say. Bromance Book Club follows men who read romance novels to better understand their relationships with their women. So, love it. And this one I know I read for Love is in the Air as well. It also was for a sequel. Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Counts as a Kaylani and a Mel favorite and a my favorite. This actually counted for quite a bit on the thing. Next 5-star also completed a duology, and that is The Monarchs by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page, which is the sequel to The Ravens, which The Ravens is a thriller with witches set in a sorority. That's all I'm going to say, because I will tell you Monarchs follows continuations from that, and my anxiety was high. Because shit was going down and I did not think things would go the way that they did, but they did. And I was like, what the fuck? Read it. I read this for a beautiful cover. Stunning. Highly, 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 highly recommend. My next 5 stars. I read this one from a smutty read, and Love is in the Air. Also counts as a retelling. And that is Learn My Lesson by Katie Roberts, which is a Disney After Dark book 2 to the Wicked Villain series, which follows, this one followed Hades, Meg, and Hercules. This shit was hot. This is everything, and I need more Hades in my life. This is trash. So, yes. Let's get through these last couple because I think he needs me. My next 2 I'm going to talk about together because it's book 1 and book 2. And that is Extraordinaries and Flashfire by TJ Klune. Extraordinaries was our group book for spring into Readathon. Queer superheroes, ADHD representation with Nick Bell, who writes fan fiction about superheroes, about him and a particular superhero, and the things that ensue from there. I will tell you, this is the greatest love letter to not only just superheroes, but to queer communities across the board. Marsha P. Johnson's mentioned. A lot of different other references are mentioned that I loved, and I need the next one. Also, TJ Klune, what do you expect? Those counted for group book and my favorite author, because TJ Klune is my favorite author. Next, I have, these last 3 are my best of the best of the best of the best this month. All 3 of these will be on my tops of the list. You have Delilah Green, Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a clever and steamy queer romantic comedy that about taking chances and accepting love with all its complications. This follows Delilah Green, who returns back to the small town for her sister's wedding, and she falls in love with her sister's best friend. And the shit that happens. This is everything. And between this and Read Between the Lines, I need more female romances in my life. Because these are everything. These cutesy rom-commy female romances are my thing. And this counts for Tiptoe Through the Tulips because there are pink and yellow all over it. Next, we have Loveless by Alice Oseman, which is about Georgia, who discovers that she is asexual and aromantic. And the stuff that ensues with this, it's all I knew going into it, and that's all I feel like everyone needs to know. We'll also state, if you love William Shakespeare, like you love Shakespeare plays, there is a couple of Shakespeare references and stuff in this. But it's Alice Oseman. Are we surprised that I gave it 5 out of 5 stars? I read this for easy read because it's Alice Oseman. And I'm now down to 1 Alice Oseman I need to read. I'm waiting for the American edition to come in because then we'll get an audiobook. Sterling bought me the pretty American edition, which I'll show in a book haul. But love, 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 love. And last but not least, my favorite book of the month, and in my top 5 favorite books of all time, is Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. When I tell you I ugly cried, I fucking ugly cried. I cried harder at this than I did at Jeff Zintner's Serpent King. Listen. Also, if you guys want to know my top 5 favorite books of all time, comment down below and let me know, and I may do a video discussing them, like where they are right now, and then react in a couple of years and see if that's where it still stands. If you like that idea, comment down below. I could do the same for series 2. This retelling the Battle of Troy, about Achilles and Patroclus' relationship. That's all you really need to know. I knew it was coming. I just didn't expect me to be in a grocery store, ugly crying, looking at cheesecake and jellos. I was in a baking aisle. Yeah, I embarrassed myself. What the fuck? This is so fucking good. And when I read this one for a book that would make me cry, and I read this for my spell book, a book with at least 2 S's in the title. S in song, S in Achilles. So 5 out of 5 stars. Amazing. So, that's all the books I read in the month of March. Oh my god, I cannot believe I read 25 things. Who am I? I am not Kaylani. I am not Mel. But who the fuck am I? I'm excited to see how the rest of my months go, seeing as I can listen to audiobooks while working. And I practically finish a book a day. This will get interesting. But that's all I've got for you guys today. If you've read any of these, comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Did you join us for Spring in a Readathon? What was your favorite book for reading for it? Yeah. All I've got for you guys. So if you like this video, hit that thumbs up. And if you're new, might as well hit that subscribe. And until next time, kids, always remember to be fabulously yourself. Oh boy. Oh. Boom.